Hey, this is Paul
And Sonia.
from the Horrorfest. Yeah, it's another year done and dusted. One more closer to Armageddon. Before we get on to our 2023 movies, just want to do a rundown of what we did in 2022 for the Horrorfest channel.
Yes, 2022 was jam-packed.
It was interesting, some good movies and some cuck movies. It's can't win them all. Obviously, we couldn't get to reviewing every single thing that we watched. So we're going to give you a rundown of the stuff that we did review and the ones we watched and not reviewed.
Yeah, and maybe remind you, if you've not checked them out, go and have a look.
Yes. Oh yeah, so we did a whole bunch of Exorcist reviews. Obviously, we've seen the original Exorcist many times.
Yes.
But we did reviews of the first one, the second one, The Heretic, the third one, and then we just threw in the last Exorcism as well.
And as a bonus, we did the 9th configuration.
Yeah, William Peter Blatty's his Faith trilogy, which includes the first Exorcist, the third Exorcist, which he's the writer of the Exorcists, sorry, and he directed the third Exorcist and the 9th configuration. Yeah, there's an interesting batch of movies, and one of my favorites, The Shining. Also watched that many times.
Yes, you have to have that one on the list.
We did a review of that. We did Willow Creek, Bobcat Goldthwait's Sasquatch movie.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Found footage movie. We also did some Nicolas Cage catch-ups.
It was lovely to see him again featured. We watched Mandy and
Color Out of Space.
yeah, directed by Richard Stanley.
Yeah, and then another iteration of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Netflix one. We watched Ty West's X, which since then spawned the Pearl prequel, and also coming in 2023 possibly the Maxine third chapter in that trilogy.
Train to Busan.
It's that South Korean zombie movie.
Yes,
Very
yeah.
cool. Frankenhooker after how many decades.
Yeah.
Love that.
And American Mary.
Yeah, the Soska twins, their first breakout movie. Black Phone, written by Stephen King's son, based on a story that he wrote. Halloween Ends, the third one in the stretch of Blumhouse not reboots, continuations.
And Smile, which was quite a hectic movie, I thought.
Yeah, it was interesting. They gave away too much in the ad, but
Absolutely.
I won't get to that.
I didn't watch the ad, but in hindsight,
I prevented
I saw.
you from it. And reviewed some series as well. Also, The Exorcist to complete our Super Exorcist marathon.
Yes, and Chucky.
The Chucky series, yeah. And Stephen King's Lisey's Story.
And then, of course, Stranger Things.
Yeah, we've sort of did not just one season, but we just did a bulk review of the entire thing up until that point, because there's another season coming up. And M. Night Shyamalan's Servant.
And Salem's Lot.
Yeah, the original. We watched it again.
Yes.
Because initially I saw it as the feature film edit, but then we watched this as the full mini-series 2-part extended version.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some literature reviews, not as many as we would like to have done. Sonia did Revival, Stephen King, and Noreen did Frankenstein and Dracula.
Dracula, yes.
And we also did some more literature was related to our Horrorfest Film Festival, which we had local authors reading from their work. A couple of, I think it was about 10 or so inserts that we put in there. And we also did some trailer reactions.
Yes. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I remember, was a shocking trailer.
It wasn't that bad. It was just, there was
Yeah.
that one shot, yeah. And Morbius, the vampire thing from Marvel. Was it Marvel or DC? I don't
DC,
know.
if I remember.
Okay.
Halloween Ends.
And yeah, we didn't see Pearl. We just did the trailer preview, and as well as Nope, which is kind of more sci-fi, I guess.
And The Monsters.
The Monsters, which we wanted to get onto, but we also still haven't watched that. We posted a couple of filmmaker interviews we did, including Uncle Lloyd Kaufman from Troma, which we shot during a previous Horrorfest Film Festival we did when we screened the new movie Shakespeare Shitstorm, as well as Ruben Pla as a producer actor. He was in movies like Insidious and Big Ass Spider, I think. And he did a documentary, which we also screened at a previous Horrorfest, called The Horror Crowd, a documentary on Los Angeles filmmakers. And then, yeah, we did some pre-release screenings of movies that released in
Yes.
cinema, including
X, Smile, and Halloween Ends.
Yeah, Halloween Ends. We also sort of kicked off the Horrorfest with
That's
that.
right.
And then also a bunch of trailers, behind-the-scenes stuff, featurettes. And
Halloween Ends.
Yeah, the Halloween Ends, behind-the-scenes stuff and
That's right.
extra bits and pieces. And Slumber Party Massacre, the recent one that we screened at a previous Horrorfest. We did a cast and crew Q&A after the screening, so we finally posted that, which we didn't do at the same time as a film festival. But yeah, so we threw that in there as well. But yeah, besides the Horrorfest, we also did our Celludroid Sci-Fi Film Festival, which had a couple of sort of horror-related movies like Mad God, Tiny Cinema, and Tin Can.
Yes, sometimes there's a fine line between the two genres, especially something like Mad God.
Yeah, that is just an all-round cool.
Yeah.
Encapsulates many genres. But yeah, for the Horrorfest, we watched a whole bunch of movies. We didn't do reviews of these, obviously, but we watched them, and they included Terrifier 2, which is
which won our Gorefest
award.
award.
Got the Gorefest award. But if you want to watch the awards, we'll link the clip to the awards at the top left-hand corner, or your right if you look at the screen.
Yes. We also screened Mad Heidi.
Yeah, it's a crazy movie. South African feature film Poe.
And Razornest.
Razornest, Johannes Grensfurtner's new interesting movie. Documentary on Stephen King, King on Screen. And one on
Living with Chucky.
on Child's Play movies and the Chucky movies, all very in-depth documentary.
And then a very oddball, A Life on the Farm.
Yeah, that's very cool. It's a documentary, but it's like a found footage documentary, which is fascinating. And the Soska twins on the Edge, Ghost of the Ozarks, Nix, Influencer, Follow the Dead, The Harbinger, Feed Me, Extraneous Matter, Agatha, Rondo and Bob, another documentary, and Eating Miss Campbell. And 5 chapters of short films.
Yes.
About 2 hours each.
Wow.
So yeah, but besides the ones that we screened, we ended up watching a whole bunch of movies to get to those selections. So we've ended up watching far more than we screened. Loads and loads. We won't be mentioning them here.
No.
Some more of the movies that, this is not related to the Horrorfest, but more movies we watched but we didn't review included
Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I loved. I thought it was beautiful.
And the vampire thing, Day Shift, with Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, Good Night Mommy.
That remake. And Prey, Sonia actually got Disney Plus. We kind of got it specifically to watch this.
Yes.
The Predator prequel. And we were expecting the Hellraiser remake to also end up there because it's on Hulu, but it still hasn't, so we're a bit pissed off about that.
Yeah, and then Scream, nicely tied up with a bow.
Yeah, the fifth Scream, and James Wan's Malignant, and 2 movies, Incantation and Uma, which we reviewed them in one of our car reviews, but our mic chopped out, so the sound, we're not too happy with the on-camera sound, so we don't know if we'll be redoing those, but yeah, we watched them and reviewed them, but didn't release them. Yes. Sonia also, I watched It Follows a while back, and then Sonia caught up on that. We also watched the first Don't Breathe earlier in the year, and then there were movies that are more sci-fi, like Dune and the second Independence Day, which we didn't see when it released. And then the one thing that we liked, people always need to jump and watch the new movie now, the same day, or there's just too much to watch.
Yeah.
So we like to catch up on stuff.
We like to savor time, the space, the moment.
Yeah, and then also try to avoid being exposed to too much info on movies. I just want to be completely surprised. But then there are lots of older movies that we just missed out across the decades for some of these. Like, it's been a while since we watched Bela Lugosi's Dracula, so we watched that again.
Yeah, we watched Troll Hunter.
Finally got to watch Troll Hunter. And The Babadook, obviously more recent, but we missed that when it came out.
Over Christmas, we actually watched Jack Frost, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and one that I actually thought was quite good, Better Watch Out.
And Christmas Evil, which is, I think Christmas Evil also has the same title, You Better Watch Out.
That's right.
Older, I think it's is it 70s or early 80s, yeah. and also watched The Void, High Tension, French movie, Class of Nukem High, classic freaking trauma movie, which we just never got to see, and also only saw the first 2 Toxic Avenger, so we caught up on the
Yes.
3rd Toxic Avenger, and Toby Hooper's Life Force, and Dario Argento's Dracula, which
Yeah.
I expected far more. And second Blair Witch Project, the Book of Shadows, and I also caught up on some of the. I've still seen. I didn't see all the Rob Zombie movies, so I watched Lords of Salem and 31, but Sonia wasn't too interested in that. And the Annabelle Comes Home, we also caught up on.
Yeah.
And the La Llorona Conjuring tie-in, Shrooms, Trucks, and Cell, two of the least fantastic Stephen King movies I've seen. Instead of saying the 2 worst ones, but I actually think those are probably the 2 worst Stephen Kings I've seen.
I think it's probably just the adaptation doesn't live up to the.
But also, it's like, I don't know, is Cell an actual novel or a short story?
I think it's a short. No, I think it's actually a novel. Okay. Now that I think about it.
And we also finally watched the Friday the 13th remake, which I think was pretty unnecessary.
Yeah, and then the ABCs of Death.
Yeah, compilation. And some documentaries, like that guy Dick Miller, is a cult B guy. You can always see him in a Joe Dante movie. Friedkin Uncut, director of The Exorcist. And then while Sonia was sleeping, I watched, across a period, I watched various documentaries, VHS documentaries on VHS collection and the history and just, VHS fandom. And then there were 3 very cool documentaries called Time Warp, the greatest cult films of all time. And there's 3 feature-length chapters. One is Midnight Madness, second one is Horror and Sci-Fi, and the third one is Comedy and Camp. And they have a panel with, including Joe Dante and John Waters, some very interesting insights on all these strange movies that came out across the 70s and the 80s, and I think some earlier as well. And we also watched this documentary on, I can't remember the title now, Jane Mansfield 66 or something.
Yes.
That was very interesting. Into the Satanic Church and all those weird rumors and
also a little bit of a storm in a teacup, if you ask me.
No, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of conspiracy crap.
Yeah.
We also did a couple of A24 catch-ups.
Yeah, Midsommar was one of them.
One of those that, I mean, people are still bitching and complaining and
brilliant
bumping heads about that. We loved it. The Lighthouse.
Saint Maud, which I loved.
And Everything Everywhere All at Once. Not horror, but it's an A24 movie.
Yeah, although I wasn't crazy about it.
No, I dug it. And series that we watched but never reviewed included... Okay, Severance, won't call it horror, but it's strange enough for me to...
It's brilliant. I can completely see the horror in that.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And American Horror Story 1984, the sort of Camp Crystal Lake serial killer slasher type installment for the American Horror Story series.
We finally finished off The Walking Dead.
Finished The Walking Freaking Dead. So we're gonna have to do a big review of that at some stage. Maybe I think we should get a super fan in on it to try and to pull us away from when we get negative about it, because to me it's a 50-50, the positives and the negatives about it.
No, for me it's a negative.
All over?
Yeah.
No, I think you're just pissed off because it took so long.
No, I think...
And it didn't end the way you wanted it to.
There were moments, but not enough moments.
And we also did Chapelwaite, which is based on Stephen King's Jerusalem's Lot short story.
It also left a little bit more...
We'll see if we review that.
Desired,
And the Korean Hellbound, which is interesting.
Yes.
And the Dahmer series, Netflix series.
Brilliant. I almost didn't want to watch it, but then ended up watching it.
No, it was good.
Yeah.
And we finished the second season of Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Fabulous.
Almost actually, and this, in January we finished the third series as well. And Archive 81 was quite an interesting series.
Yeah.
And then sort of these little, it's not really series, but it's kind of like a visual podcast, like Charles Band's Full Moon Freak Show. Watched a couple of those episodes. And Bruce Campbell's Last Fan Standing, like a silly game show that they think they do at like Comic-Cons and stuff, where he asks, where they get like sci-fi, horror and superhero questions and stuff. Yeah. And then you also, you're quite a true crime and paranormal enthusiast, so there's lots of series that I can't remember the titles of.
I think like...
And documentaries on these
especially
subjects.
I think the one that comes to mind now that I'm thinking about it is Ace Frehley's encounter with the with a paranormal entity at his New York house.
What was that series called?
It is yeah, celebrity paranormal.
It's basically
yeah
well-known people with
experiences, paranormal
experienced
experiences.
paranormal things.
Yes.
So that's, I mean, hey, and that's now besides regular movies and series that we watched. Sitcom, it's just, if you think that the hours that we waste watching stuff on a screen, except besides me doing just your other stuff, you're always constantly on a screen doing any kind of work or even music, or there's always a screen involved. But if you just add the hours, man, it's crazy.
Scary business.
But that's what we do to entertain ourselves. We don't go out kicking balls and kicking people in the balls to entertain ourselves. We watch movies and series and stuff.
Yes.
But yeah.
So what's in store for 2023?
I think we should do a separate one on that. So
okay.
I think we sign this off and do a little clip on what's coming up in 2023, and if we're looking forward to any of these, and if you do.
Very much so.
And if you haven't subscribed and liked this, then we're very disappointed in you. But you don't have to if you don't want to, but if you do, that's fucking great. Yeah.
Yes.
So let us know if you watched any of these movies that we mentioned, if you liked them, if you hated them, including the series. There's just so much to watch, and we can probably never get to everything, but we'll try our best.
Absolutely.
But we'll catch you next time.
Yeah.
And have a good one.
Yes.
And have a good 2023.
Absolutely.
Ciao.
Bye.